going across the pond. A weekend of upsets at the top of the English Premier League. Pep's men down by the Cherries. Let's start there.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? I mean, did you think that the Premier League was decided? Did you think that we wouldn't have any surprises? Did you think that it was going to be smooth sailing for a team like Manchester City through the remainder of the entire season? I mean, it's so early still, Robert, that you can't really draw any grand conclusions. But this is interesting. It definitely throws a wrinkle in what we imagine might happen. Obviously, Liverpool is the beneficiary here, but I give Bournemouth credit. I mean, again, I don't think anybody had them taking down City. Even this is not, nobody thinks of Bournemouth as sort of the whipping boy of the Premier League. They're not relegation fodder, but that still is. It still feels like a mountain that's almost impossible to climb for anybody at this point. The way that City has looked at various stages.
It's kind of wild how the tables have turned. Those South Coast teams, like the teams in the south of England, not famous for achievement in the game. At Southampton, probably the South's most accomplished team, longest history of success. And there's a lot of stories of Southampton giving teams like Brighton and Bournemouth a help when they were lower in the table. And Bournemouth having great success, certainly more than Southampton at the current time. Pep did kind of foreshadow this a bit. There was reports of him being worried about his injury list. John Stones, Diaz, obviously Rodri out for a long time, Grealish and Oscar Bob. So he was short in options, but they are, more flush with depth than probably any other team. But undone without those players. And I mean, it wasn't really all that fluky either.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I mean, look, it doesn't really matter who you are. If you have an injury crisis, if you have 6, 7, 8 guys who are carrying injuries, it doesn't, depth can be an advantage, but it can't overcome all of that. So at this point, I do think there is something to be said for it's difficult. And it's not as though City is only focused on the league. I mean, this is a team that has designs on a Champions League title again. They did get knocked out of the League Cup, which I don't know. Is that a good thing? I guess probably at this point, Robert. I hate saying that, and there's always that question of whether or not these clubs prioritize a competition like the League Cup. But this is going to be. It's not going to be so easy for City to win it because we know that Liverpool's good. We know that Arsenal is good. So, and everybody in this league has a puncher's chance. It's not quite as far as parity, but it is something that City has to navigate.
Also notable, American midfielder Tyler Adams getting more action in this game. He came on right after Bournemouth got their go-ahead goal and able to do enough to keep the lead for Bournemouth. The other team lost at the weekend. Arsenal, they kicked off the week on Saturday morning early, and Newcastle got the first half goal and able to do their thing and hold on. And Arsenal, you'd say, looked pretty darn frustrated as that game wore on.
I mean, I think this, Arsenal is a little bit more fragile. If we're talking about the 3 title contenders, they're the ones that everybody thinks, not just because of maybe the depth of their squad. There's just something about Arsenal that feels fragile. And that's rough because they've finished second twice to City. They nearly did it last year. What was the gap? 2 points, Robert, last year?
I believe so.
There's no reason to doubt them really, except for they couldn't get past City. So you kind of go, okay, well, they're not good enough to do that. And now again, Liverpool under Arne Slot has looked so comfortable. I don't think they've slid into this new era without a hiccup at all, which is remarkable. Arsenal is a quality team that doesn't feel like they have the experience. Is that fair?
Composure?
Yeah, but where does that feeling that we think they lack composure come from? I mean, it's not just Arteta and his histrionics. It's something else. There's something else about the group who is the clear leader in this team. I mean, is Declan Rice the leader? I mean, you're not looking at some of these guys and thinking, hey, that's the guy who takes charge. That's the guy who who drives them forward. I mean, you talk about their center backs and how good they are, but do they feel like players who are like, this is my team and I'm going to lead us to the promised land?
I think that they may be prone to mistake. They've been a little bit unlucky with red cards, which has kind of got them agitated. But also, I mean, soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, is very revealing. Like body language is so clear in how you play. There's no stoppages to compose yourself as you're playing in a free, open game. You can read body language, and if someone is nervous or not comfortable, it's easy to say. And as that game wore on, and we've seen in other games, there's a level of nervousness and frustration and agitation you don't see from Liverpool and Manchester City. I think the what do you call it? The muscle memory of winning is more ingrained in the Liverpool and Man City squad. Like,
Yeah,
I guess the nagging feeling that they've come up short is in their muscle memory. For Arsenal a little bit more, and
sure.
it would take them becoming, I think, serial winners to have that comfort of, we're goal down. We have to score 2 goals in the next 10 minutes. And Manchester City, I mean, they've done that countless times with, the biggest titles on the line, and they always look within themselves. But the body language and the composure of Arsenal just isn't at that same level.
Well, you can't do it until you've done it. Like it's sort of like I can't get the job because I don't have the experience, but I can't get the experience because I can't get the job. The feels where Arsenal is stuck in this limbo between being a truly title contending Premier. I mean, they have contended, but a title winning Premier League side and entering a new era of glory, that they haven't had in 2 decades, and sort of dropping back into the pack and being not in turmoil, because I don't think that that's where they are. But are they significantly better in terms of what you think is possible than Tottenham? I mean, the performances and the results have been better than Tottenham the last couple of seasons. But if Arsenal, if Arsenal doesn't do it this season, it's not difficult to imagine them finishing 4th or 5th next year and Tottenham finishing above them. Right? If just a couple of moves here or there, because the margins are smaller for Arsenal and Tottenham than they are for City, than they are for even Liverpool, who has found a way with their recruitment to be elite.
Yeah, it was notable that Thomas Partey played right back, and Moreno was a little bit average in midfield. I think that had a little bit to do with it. There was a couple players out of position there, but fully agree with you on your note about Arsenal possibly slipping back, and then Chelsea are getting better. Who knows what happens with Tottenham? They're up and down each 45 minutes. And then Nottingham Forest, they might creep up and take somebody's top 4 position, maybe, right?
You mean at the end of this thing, the Nottingham Forest is going to be there? No, come on, Robert. I mean, this is the table deceiving us on some level, which is fine. I mean, look, Nottingham Forest can say we're in 3rd place after 10 matches of a Premier League season, and that's an achievement for Forest, right? Now, and based on the pace, 19 points from 10 matches, they're halfway home on absolute surety that they're not going down. That's all that matters for Forest. If they somehow sneak into the Conference League or something, they might have to shut down the town for days to have the parade. Like, it will be that big of an achievement. And it's considering last year, considering the coaching change. Now, some of us Americans are a little biased against Nuno because of how it went down with Gio, but considering this sense that Nuno was as much convenience and sort of part of a machine meant to wet some people's beaks around player acquisition as anything else, that's what sticks to Nuno, right? Am I wrong about that? This is crazy. This is crazy.
The beneficiary of Manchester City and Arsenal taking a loss at the weekend. Liverpool returned to the top with a 2-1 victory over Brighton. The first half, not so good for the Reds, but a classic Salah counterattack goal gets the 3 points. And the performance was very similar to how it's been, not spectacular, but doing enough to get the win.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's how you win a title, right? Is that when you're not at your best. We know that Brighton's a very good team, right? We know Brighton is not a pushover.
So many good players.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, navigating, I know we're going to keep saying this, but going from Potter to De Zerbi down to Hertzler, like, oh no, we're still gonna be better than people think we should be based on the fact that we're Brighton, right? But they keep finding players to make it work. I think we talked about this last week. A guy like Danny Welbeck playing a meaningful role in a team that's eyeing another European berth is something. Like, what is that? Is that something you had on your bingo card for the Premier League the last couple seasons? Probably not. So again, they're pretty good. Now, going to Anfield is not easy for anybody. I know we've already had one surprise there this season, but those are few and far between. So Liverpool doing what they need to do to get back top of the table.